long story long, I was in college, and I'm only saying this for time frame reference. Okay, so I went to the El Camino Torrance in 2012 to 2013. I went back home 2013, 2014, Washington State. I went back to Fullerton, California in 2014, 2015, 2014, 2015, like maybe August 2014. Tried to get into school, found out that I was there like literally a day past the expiration of like being considered a resident for a student. I waited a year to go to school, and let's see, worked 2 jobs, saved money, moved a couple times, got in a relationship, got an apartment with the person I was in a relationship with. Well, I got an apartment and they were with me, and then like 4 months later went to Long Beach, stayed with a friend. After that, went back to Anaheim. Anaheim, right on the border of Fullerton, like literally the border, and went to Fullerton again, or Fullerton College, to like enroll and stuff. And I was there. I know that I had got my car right before I had left the apartment. Okay, so after Pomona was the apartment with the boyfriend. We were down the street from the cafe in Pulp Fiction, and I always say it's closed down now, but that was the cafe in Pulp Fiction. But anyway, went to Long Beach after that. After Long Beach, went to Anaheim, went back to school. Had my car, trying to get used to having a payment, all that stuff. I had a credit card for the first time. Me and my life together, you know? I think I had life insurance at one point. And anyway, sidetracked. So, school 2016 to 2018, 19-ish. Didn't finish last semester. And around that time, probably before I ended up homeless, because I got kicked out of my condo. This nurse was basically saving her money for a house, and went from like, I think you're
nice day today.
Beautiful day.
We got some good weather.
Yeah.
No rain in the forecast. Praise God.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
I was working at an Arco gas station in Fullerton, and I was kind of, you realize you're just like, I have a whole different life. Like, I'm starting school. I actually got encouraged to get a new car from my coworker. She had gotten a new car, and I was like, that might be a good idea, because having something reliable that lasts way longer than the car that I had at the time was a good idea to me. I had a Honda Santa Fe, and 2004. I'm sure that car runs to this day. Like, in hindsight, sometimes I'm like, I should have kept that car. But I had not traded in. I had sold it and got my car, and I was downsizing, all the things. Oh, it's LA, like living in Long Beach is hard to park. Like, it's hard to park in Anaheim. It's just hard to park, period. Like, let me get a smaller car. Just all the reasons to get a car. And when I was homeless, I was like, man, that's when I was like, I should get my car, because I was sleeping out of my car. But anyway, So, just a lot of like, what is this? Turning 23, I think. Anyway, so while I was in school, I had really like, already taken classes in El Camino, already started classes at Fullerton. Eventually, I think I took a gender studies class, like political science class. I almost took a geology class, but I dropped it. I was just learning a lot and getting a lot. You get so many perspectives from one school. You go to a different school, it's a whole and different city and stuff. So it's just different, and it was a learning experience in itself. But being there, I had, gosh, let me think. Just discovered Lil Durk. Just discovered like different types of artists that I hadn't heard before, and I knew about like drill rap. I knew about like Migos and Future and like all Snoop Dogg, all that stuff. I decided I was gonna test something. I was gonna say something. Cause I was like, everybody loves Beyonce so much. And my problem is I did too. I love Beyonce. I used to defend Beyonce to like the toes. Don't talk about her. She's doing her thing. Like video phone. She's in this. All this stuff. And there's an epiphany I had where I was like, her MO is not my favorite right now. Like she went from being like Destiny's Child, main star, independent, doing the thing. I feel like her music hit a plateau because she was part of the black success. They always say, like with Kevin Hart, you turn, or even Michael Jackson, white success, or white, what do they call it? White funny, because you reach a different audience, you reach a different level of people calling you a household name. Everybody knows Beyonce. White people know Beyonce, but now people listen to you. They're looking forward to what you have to say, like Dane Cook level type stuff, Anyway, I was like realizing, because I love me some Beyonce. I really did. I realized you're going from this like, and take a minute, girl, come sit down and tell me what's been happening. In your face, I can see your pain. Don't you try to convince us that you're happy. We see. Okay, sorry. So my whole, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. You're like, I'm trying to be independent. Like, I'm trying to make a name for myself. Like, Beyonce. Like, I get it. But my thing was, like, you're going dark. And I think I had seen, like, a picture. This is around the time my cousin, because I had been new. My cousins lived down the street. Like, when I first moved to Fullerton, they were like, oh, you should, one of them was like, you should come visit. Da-da-da. Her mom was like, I'm just warning you, she holds grudges. She don't let shit go. So just like, she might be around you, but she don't let shit go. And truth to form. So when she had reached out to me, I responded and I was like, yeah, we should hang out. And she never paid me back. And then eventually, I don't know exactly why. I think I was in school already. Oh no, you know what? They used to come into the Arco. It's a small town, Fullerton. And so I talked to the mom, my great aunt, and I talked to them. They're telling, the one that hadn't reached out to me she's always been like very honest, very truthful about her feelings, like very truthful about, like, she's very intelligent, like research, already smart, already went to college, already got a bachelor's, already did all that stuff. and now you're still researching, you're still doing work, you're putting independence businesses, you're putting it on to like what you learned about it and how you navigate and how you function to be only growing, not just, doing, but continuing to do, making sure you have generational wealth from the moves that you make. Daycare, tutoring kids, just all the things. And I was just happy to see it because when I first was in California, I had like gone to Fullerton. That's why I knew Fullerton existed, because they lived there before me. I didn't move to Fullerton because of them. It's ironic, but I knew that they were in Fullerton because I went to their house. Nothing about Fullerton but their house. When I was in Washington, the person that I ended up moving back to California with, they were in the military, and they were like, I'm supposed to go to school in Fullerton. And I was like, oh, how coincidental. So there was just a whole thing about that works out. I had a crush on this guy back in LA. He goes to school in Fullerton. There's all these colleges in Fullerton. He goes to this college in Fullerton. Things are just lining up. And so I went because I was like, I'm going to go anywhere in California. I need to get out of here. But it just kind of solidified it wasn't the craziest move. It's a crazy move, but it's not the craziest move I could do. Like this guy I met, I'm just moving with you. Like that's pretty fucking crazy. But anyway, so listening to Destiny's Child, listening to all this stuff growing up. Once Lemonade came out, I don't know if I had become more cynical because I just got out of a breakup, or being around a bunch of like young people that are just like, it's my time to shine, and I'm like older than everybody. I'm just like, okay, it's interesting as like a observationalist to see interactions and how people are and stuff. So, a lot of social interaction I'm taking in, like understanding dynamics, all these things. And I'm not really liking it. But I ended up being at that school for a year. I applied to an internship, so I was in, let's see, like my second year, and I got accepted, and I started the internship, and it was in the athletic training department. So I was with all the athletes, male, female, all the sports. We were learning how to treat injuries, and it was awesome. But I knew, because before I entered it, that year I had been there, I was like, maybe I want to become a physical therapist, and I was like the closest thing. And the reason I kind of got so frustrated with that school is because I realized once I got towards the end of like my time, because they say don't stay in the internship more than 2 years. I was in there for like 2.5. Don't do that. And so like my time, I had ended up realizing, I was like, this school doesn't have physical therapy or like a path to physical therapy. And I had decided physical therapy and assisting was going to be like the perfect lane for me. I don't need to be like, maybe later, when I'm more settled, I can go back and become an actual therapist, because that's a whole different, tax bracket and stuff. But I was like, I think a realistic goal is to just be assisting so I can pay for more stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I went into the internship, and I was like really disappointed, I guess, in like the culture of sports and therapy and interaction being such a like sexually tense space. I'm not comfortable with like sexually charged things. It's just, I've never been, and it just was like something I just, you're just like, no, I'm just overreacting, I'm just tripping, I'm just whatevering. But I realized, no, I don't like it. And that's kind of, besides like the sidelines, I don't like seeing people get injured. I'd rather you come in with your injury. That was like my main argument. Come in with your injury, come in with your surgery scar healed, and I'll work with you. But like, I don't want to see why you had the surgery scar in real time. Like, I don't need to see that. But anyway, so I was there for like 2.5 years. I started well, thank goodness ARCO random people, because it's right by the, when you're leaving Fullerton, it's like on the way out. And so a lot of people, random people, are stopping, and I was able to get I was able to get an internship through meeting somebody at the gas station, and that was my second internship outside of school, not paid, and I was driving to LA for those ones. They had, obviously, you have games everywhere, but the practices, all that stuff, were in LA. So anyway, it led to my third internship because I was invited by one of the coaches from the first internship to an opportunity that he had working for a university. So it was like an independent thing that he was in, and then he was trying to like upgrade to like the next one. And he, said, hey, I would love to invite this person to do this. And they're an intern, so you don't have to, worry about a budget right now. But this third internship, they were really like, we're going to pay you $1,000 per semester to work with us. Would you like it all at once, or would you like it over the course of the semester or the season? And I was like, over the season would be better, because then I can know I'll always have that coming. I didn't tell them that, but I was like, I'll always have it coming in if I need to buy more supplies. Like, the internship at school is supplied with everything, but when you're in your own, you gotta like have it. So, things like that is really cool. And so, anyway, a lot of stuff going on. But around this time, whatever, Lemonade came out, and I was just like, gosh, that's so disappointing, because, and honestly, it was a build up to it. There was a couple things before it, and I think whatever the performances that she does, the chair dance, where she's like on like a sex chair, and it's like a silhouette. I was just disappointment. I remember bringing it up to my family. I was like, I'm so disappointed because, I was like, I just hate that. I don't say things like to be nice when I'm talking about people I don't know. I'm just like, man, she sucks, because literally you are not that person. You're not that girl. Like, and it's not even on some like, you can't be that girl. It's just like, you're just not that person. So anything you're doing is just so performative to me. Performative is such a good word. I didn't use it at the time. I could have used it, but I was just like, it's so performative to me. And I just have a sneaking inclination, because this Lemonade album came out, that is because of Jay-Z, that this is like her new mode, and that she feels this false sense of power. And I don't know if like subconsciously she's just reminding me of my cousin, that it's like, oh, I got married early, and the way she described it was like, and I never want something about like giving a man that level of control again. And I just always took it as like, marriages can be controlling, especially if you're in the South. Like, I get it. I am not gonna question why you feel like that. But I realized, like, that was like, what, 19 when I heard her say that. So I'm just like, older now, and I think I understand way more what she's trying to tell me in that sentence now. But so she, has this mentality of like, don't let a dude get over on me, to the point where, celibacy, nature, and all these health ways to live, and I'm challenging anyone that wants to meet me to do the same, and blah, blah, blah. And my thing was just like, I get it. I like a lot of the same things you like, and so we hang out. But in terms of like the lifestyle and stuff, I felt like I can't fully subscribe, because I haven't experienced what you've experienced, so I can't relate my experiences to yours, and I can't assume my experiences will be like yours. And then also, like, the experiences that I had at the time, I didn't discuss them with people. I didn't really like make a point to. I had one experience where my cousin was there with me, and then I was like, "I'll be right back. I'm hanging out with this boy." And then when I came back, I told her what happened, and I don't know how that made her feel, but I was just like, I didn't expect that to happen, but this is what happened, and I don't think I felt very like comfortable sharing it, and it didn't really like lead anywhere in terms of like shit happens type thing. It was kind of just like shock that it happened, so it was just like maybe I shouldn't talk about it with like just anybody. And so I felt like my friends at the time in Washington would probably like say people to those kind of experiences with. Anyway, so I feel like that particular cousin, because that was the same one that reached out to me when I moved back to Fullerton. She was the connection to Fullerton. That's where a lot of the I have fallen out with her because I had went to Fullerton, met her side of the family who lived there. It was their apartment, and they knew well before I did that there was a football team in Fullerton, and that they knew a lot of players because they stayed in these apartments, and so they would talk to them, blah blah blah. Now these cousins are like 8 years older than me, so at the time I'm thinking like, okay, I'm getting advice of how to interact with people or how things work, or just listening. And I went with them to a hookah bar with one of the football players that they had invited. There was one guy that came, and I was left alone at the end of the night with this person in the apartment. And I don't mean alone like they had both left. The cousin that took me or like told me to come and hang out was the one that left, and then the one whose house it was or apartment it was went to sleep, and it was like 3 a.m, and I had basically like we were starting to make out. He was trying to do more, and it went from me being like, I'm okay with making out with you, to I'm not comfortable with the idea of this. I had just gotten out of a relationship. I was not planning on like being with anybody. Being at the kick it with the hookah spot was like, okay, that's cool, but like being left alone at 3 a.m, I was not anticipating. And I think they were like, oh, you guys are getting along so well, but basically it led to like pants being taken off, and I just really like slumped to the floor and just like kind of let it happen. And then like kind of like 2 seconds, 3 seconds in, I was like maybe like 2 minutes, honestly, but I just realized like I actually can say I don't want to do this. I can say that, and I did. And then he immediately like apologized, got up, really like sympathetic to the fact that he was like, I didn't mean to like basically misread the situation kind of thing. And I'm just like, no, it's my fault, like this is wrong, like I just felt so bad. And when he left, I went to the bathroom, which was in the room of my cousin or family, and I went in there, and she was awake, so I sat with her on the bed and I was talking to her, and she was like, oh no, first thing that happened was I was about to tell her, but I thought about it and I was like, let me kind of like start this conversation off a little light because it's heavy. I feel like what just happened, and me trying to be like jokey with her, I guess, she was like, no, you're not about to come in here and act like you didn't do what you just did, just disrespecting my house, like all this stuff. I had a sneaking suspicion that she had like cracked her door and like looked at what we were doing, but like her room was super dark and I couldn't tell if her door was already cracked, so her like coming up and looking, I was like, oh, I wasn't sure. And so when she was like angry, I was like, oh, she must have came and cracked the door. And so I was super embarrassed, super ashamed. And she was like, like, you gotta go in the morning, like first thing, And I just like laid there, and the next day my dad was so mad because I had posted the pictures from the hookah bar, and he was like, that's stupid, that's real lame, Shantia. I was like, what? I just didn't understand, and I guess he thought it was weed that I was smoking. I was posting myself smoking weed. I was like, no, Dad, that's hookah. He was like, I don't know what hookah is, but okay. And so then the cousin from that left came back, and they basically just like went in on me and was telling me how kind, like they're like, we hang out with guys, we talk about messing with guys, we might joke around, but we don't do that. And we had just had like a good night, like we were playing the Wii. I think it was like the Michael Jackson Experience on the Wii. Like we had a good night the night before, and then all this was happening. So anyway, this was on the weekend. So we're sitting there, and I'm thinking like they're just like angry at me, like I'm just a slut, I'm just a hoe, like oh my gosh, all these things. And basically they're like, yeah, you are. And I was like, well, if I was really like, and this is me just thinking like off the top of my head while they're talking to him, like if I was really gonna do that, I would have gone back to his apartment if I really wanted to have sex with him. Like why would I stay here? And they didn't really answer that, but they're angry, and I just was super embarrassed and ashamed. So I was just like, yeah, I'm the worst person ever, I'm a horrible person. And I went to my grandma's house and I was talking to her about what was going on, because I think I was like right before I was going back to Washington, actually, like this is like the weekend before. It was ironic because they had invited me, like, oh, you can live with us, and as long as you don't have to pay rent if you go to school and do all the things you're supposed to do. And my grandma was like, no, I could have told you don't need to be getting their help, basically. And I was like, well, shit, I don't know. And basically my grandma had asked me like, hey, have you been molested? And I just never talked about it ever. And I was like, how you know? I was like, yeah. So I just started crying. I was really confused how she knew, but obviously, like, she's a smart lady. And she was like, yeah, you gotta go back home and deal with that with your parents. Like, that is like some real shit you gotta tell. That's some real stuff you gotta tell your family. Like, if no one knows, like, they gotta understand like what's going on, blah blah. Like, and she had told me like, just stuff, comforting stuff, and it just helped a lot. And I went back home, and other stuff happened. Back home, I went to a kickback. It was just a lot of stuff happened, and I just know that like telling the people back home what was going on in California, I don't think had like relayed in the same way that I had intended telling them would. So fast forward back to Lemonade. So I really was like, this is not my thing, and I'm really disappointed. So bring it up to my family. I had an aunt that was she pole dances for exercise, and I was like, saying it to her and to like the table of people, and they're like, she was just like, so she's not allowed to be sexy, like what is the problem, like you gotta be able to be yourself. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think anything wrong with being sexy. If you're sexy, be sexy. If you do what you do, you do what you do. But if you're not doing what you do and you're doing what you don't do, it just looks weird, and I don't like it as a fan. And I just feel like, you know, this is kind of like my start to like, does me not liking a particular thing about an artist that I've liked almost all my childhood, me having a criticism, like everyone is engaged in this conversation, and I knew it was serious because I had the same cousin that was there that night that I had gone out with the boy, and she waited till I came back. Was like obsessed with Beyonce. Like she had been obsessed with Michael Jackson to nth degree, and I was too. But like my dad was like, dang, like I just remember growing up, that's all we heard was just Michael Jackson on everything. Like you couldn't hear another artist because it was always Jackson 5, Michael Jackson. And I had been telling him about like, man, I think she's like a little bit too into Beyonce. Like, oh my gosh, I was like complaining. He was just like, well, now you understand what I'm saying. Like, yeah, actually. But she was obsessed with her at this time. Like that was her new thing, and she was going through a lot, so I just knew it was like based in other feelings to decide like that was where she was with that. So she we had debates basically, and so I had to put on Facebook, I was just like, I mean, it's so fucking obvious, this girl, this lady, this Lemonade album, you're gonna try to, it's not what is it, mocking conspiracy theorists for considering the Illuminati to exist on your album about supposedly getting back with your ex or your husband, getting back with your husband. It was like, I'm just so disappointed. And I had put on Facebook, I was like, I wonder, is, you know, I had taken argumentative philosophy, and I was like, kind of thinking as logically as possible, like, if Beyonce says that we're corny for saying she needs the Illuminati to be successful, does that make the Illuminati real, regardless of whether she's used it? I didn't say that regardless of whether she's used it part. I just said, does that just make the Illuminati real? I remember saying that because I was just like, oh shit, that's some controversial shit to put. I'm gonna sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I was like, it's also kind of like a joke, because why did she say that dumb shit? So anyway, soon after that, I get Instagram, my original Instagram that I got taken down, or not taken down, what do you call it, scammed out of. I had been added by Spectacular on Instagram, and I was like, that's not real. I didn't even look at the page. I was like, no, it's not. I was like, I don't need no fan pages or like nobody watching me. But I was also in the back of my mind like, is this one of those like, what do they call it, burner accounts pretending to be something else? So I did not add them back, and then they eventually like unfollowed me, and I was like, So when they unfollowed me, I looked at the page and I was like, oh wait, that's really Spectacular, what the fuck? And so I was kind of mad at myself, but then I was like, why did he, what? And so, you know, just kind of like, I don't know, after you watch one video, like more pop up, it was like a bunch of stuff about how he was in Forbes for being like top entrepreneur or something, because he created like a company where he makes fan pages and promotes people. And I had been thinking at the time, like, that's interesting, because I noticed an uptick in fan pages. Like, positive, like this is the beginning of the concept of bots. Like there weren't bots before this, I swear. But so I was just like, is it possible? Because he never said that he was connected to Beyonce. But one thing I know is around Lemonade time, a lot of fan pages for Beyonce came out on Instagram. And I was just like, I don't know if my timeline's just I think this is before the algorithm. So that's just because that was the timeline. And I was like, holy shit, if the Illuminati is real, could they be trying to, like, what is it? Like, you consider me an enemy for saying that. And so, instead of, like, I don't know, if it was like, what's the first step to conquering your enemy is befriending them. And I was like, is this them trying to, like, befriend me before they try to destroy me? And so I got really scared. And then I was like, no, absolutely not. No way. That's insane for me to think like that. And so I just kept living. And other things happened where I was just like, oh, lots going on right now. But the main thing was, after that,